most horrifically planned incident, in the annals of terrorism against the United States. Think about it. I mean, you look outside the Fox studios, look how clear it is. I mean, how could you miss the true trade towers? I mean, not just one, but two planes.
Well, and it brings to mind, everybody hates those metal detectors at airports, and everybody makes passing through them almost a joke these days. But clearly, it seems that something is going to change if you can make this kind of statement and kill as many people as are likely to be dead in this kind of scenario.
John, we're talking about terrorism. No matter how this turns out, this is going to be a day that's going to live in infamy. And, it's going to cause changes in terms of, if it turns out that terrorism, in terms of security, like this country has never seen before.
President Bush is about to speak. He's in Florida. That was what was supposed to be a joyous event at an elementary school. Let's listen in.
Today, we've had a national tragedy. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country. I have spoken to the Vice President, to the Governor of New York, to the Director of the FBI, and have ordered that the full resources of the federal government go to help the victims and their families, and to conduct a full-scale investigation to hunt down and to find those folks who committed this act. Terrorism against our nation will not stand. Help the victims and their families. And now, if you join me in a moment of silence. May God bless the victims, their families, and America. Thank you very much.
We are going to be looking at an enormous death toll. 50,000 people work in those 2 buildings.
Churchill on here.
John Fund from the Wall Street Journal is on the phone with us. John, were you in the area when the planes hit?
I was across the street in my office building.
What did you see? What did you hear?
I heard an incredible sonic boom and looked up, and there were already much smoke and flames pouring out of the building. And about 15 minutes later, of course, a second sonic boom, which of course would have been the second tower and the second plane.
What about injuries, John?
Well,
can you tell us?
The most terrible and heartrending thing about this is, about 15 minutes ago, bodies started dropping from the top floors of the tower closest to the highway, about at least 5 or 6, and it was absolutely terrible. Obviously, they had 2 choices: to be burned in flames or to leap and end it all. It was quite tragic.
Let me bring into the conversation David Asman, my colleague.
Yes, John Scott.
David, what can you tell us?
I just want to give you some late-breaking information. Perhaps one of the things that is of greatest fear is that there is yet another terrorist attack, since those 2 plane crashes happened within 20 minutes of each other. Well, all of Manhattan has been sealed off. This is probably unprecedented. Of course, all of this is unprecedented in this dastardly occasion, but Manhattan has been sealed off. The Hudson River bridges and the tunnels have been sealed. Clearly, there is an attempt right now to thwart any further act of terrorism, act of violence against the people of Manhattan. So Manhattan is in a lockdown. We are hearing right now of another explosion that has taken place at the Pentagon. We have the heart of the financial district of America being attacked. Now we understand that there is an explosion. There has been an explosion in the Pentagon, the heart of the military command center of the United States of America, John. It can't get much worse than this. Let's hope.
You gotta believe that it has happened again. Another large airliner, perhaps hijacked, perhaps part of some widespread plan, apparently slamming into at least the area around the Pentagon. have not struck at America. They have struck at some individual places in America, but this country will go on. I want to go to our Washington managing editor, Britt Hume, who has the outlook from the nation's capital. Britt, this raises all kinds of questions about America's response, and I guess that response is not going to be immediate, is it?
Well, whether it is immediate or not, the one thing I think we are seeing, John, is this series of evacuations from various buildings around Washington. And I think it's important to say that we don't know and have no reason to believe that the White House, for example, was facing any immediate or imminent threat. The same is true on Capitol Hill, where it appears they will be evacuating the building up here soon. No, nothing has happened at either of those places. This, of course, though, John, I think this is one of these days where we can say that things will not again be the same in the United States of America. This is the kind of terrorist attack that is the nightmare that experts and others have warned about, but some of us may have thought really could not happen on such a scale. This is quite remarkable.
As we watch these pictures, the World Trade Center, 110 stories, literally starting to fall.
I live. I hope I live. It's coming down on me. Here it comes. I'm getting behind a car. I had to go find people who need help. I don't think I'm one of them. You okay, sir? Okay. Can I just get a toot off your respirator?
We was inside the building.
You were inside the World Trade Center?
Inside the building.
Doing what?
We're getting ready to go upstairs to search, and the floor gave way. The whole building collapsed on us.
How did you guys get out?
Just found our way out, struggled our way through.
Walk towards the light.
Walk towards the light.
We walk towards the light. That's all we did.
Hello?
Yeah, David Lee, what can you tell us?
John, the scene is horrific. One of the two towers literally collapsed. I was making my way to the foot of the World Trade Center. Suddenly, while talking to an officer, questioning me about my press credentials, we heard a very loud blast, an explosion. We looked up, and the building literally began to collapse before us. There was debris falling, I'd say, at least three-quarters the height of the building. People within the entire perimeter began literally, including myself, which is why I'm out of breath, to run for our lives.
Those steel girders, strong as they are, had a lot of weight to support, and apparently, I'm not a structural engineer, but I'm just guessing now that they gave way. The loss of life here is going to be enormous.
May God help those who are there, and the victims and their families, and all the souls that are lost today.
Can you tell me what you saw, what you heard? You all right?
All right,
Look at this guy. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. This poor woman. Wow.
United 93, Cleveland, do you still hear the center? United 93, do you still hear Cleveland? United 93, United 93, do you hear Cleveland?
80 miles southwest of Pittsburgh, this United Airlines Flight 93 crashed.
From the size of the impact crater, it would appear as though the angle of descent or angle of attack had to be nearly straight in.
I think the pilot downed the plane in a remote area because, you know, there wasn't very many houses over there where it went down. And I don't know, it's really... The whole thing is just unbelievable.
This is clearly a national catastrophe. There will be some response from the White House. Let's go to Wendell Goler, who was traveling with the president in Sarasota, Florida, and find out what the latest is there. Wendell?
John, the president left Sarasota, Florida. Air Force One took off just a short while ago to convene a meeting of his national security advisors, including the vice president, the heads of the CIA, the National Security Agency, and the FBI, and also New York Governor Pataki. After the two attacks on the Twin Towers in New York, he was briefed by his national security advisor, Condoleezza Rice, who phoned him after the first attack. Mr. Bush was actually reading to some children when the second attack occurred. Chief of Staff Andy Card interrupted him, told him about the attack. It was clear at that point we were dealing with terrorists.
I want to bring into the conversation General Al Haig, the former Secretary of State. General Haig, at a time like this, how does America respond prudently, with the proper amount of caution, and yet with whatever force needs to be applied?
Well, first, we have to know the full limits of this tragedy, and it's unprecedented, of course. But we have to stay, above all, united and calm and ready to take resolute action, which sometimes we have failed to do in the recent past, when the perpetrators are uncovered, and we have many, many indicators of precisely who they are. This was too broadly based a terrorist act to be just a few crazies. This is a terrorist movement, and we know where they're located today. And obviously, as a nation, we're going to have to take action against them.
Oh, there it goes, there it goes, there it goes, there it goes. Oh, when it comes down, all right. We do need to put it down now. I think we need to put it down now. Here we go.
America, offer a prayer.
That was 16 years ago this hour. It's easy to forget how it all happened, but we will never forget what happened.
And we've had two presidents since then, President Obama for 8 years. This will be the first time we see our president, a New Yorker by birth, who lived through this, as we all did in Midtown Manhattan, and he'll come out and offer his moment of silence with the First Lady.
He and the First Lady, yes, will also be at the National 9/11 Pentagon Memorial, where they will remember all of the victims, leading that moment of silence. You're looking live at the White House right now.
And at some point later today, we'll get all the names of those who lost their lives, 2,996.
The President and the First Lady should come out of the South Portico in the next few seconds to mark 8:46, 16 years ago, when American Airlines Flight 11 hit the North Tower. This will be the first of 6 moments of
У Агуши полезная новинка для малышей. Вода с соком. А для взрослых веселая игра на agulife.ru. Собирайте воду, фрукты и ягоды, но остерегайтесь сахара. Напоите малыша и получите возможность выиграть сертификат в детский мир. Агуша.
Jr.
Adelamero Abad.
Marie Rose Abad.
Andrew Anthony Abate.
Vincent Paul Abate.
Lawrence Christopher Abel.
Alana Abraham.
William F. Abramson.
Richard Anthony Aceto.
Heinrich Bernard Ackerman.
Paul Aquaviva.
Christian Adams.
Donald Leroy Adams.
Patrick Adams.
Shannon Lewis Adams.
Stephen George Adams.
Ignatius Udo Adanga.
Christy A. Adamo.
Terrence Edward Adderley Jr.
Sophia B. Addo.
Lee Adler.
Daniel Thomas Aflito.
Emmanuel Akwazi Afwakwa.
Alak Agrawal.
Mukul Kumar Agarwala.
Joseph Agnello.
David Scott Agnes.
Joao Alberto da Fresca Aguilera Jr.
Brian G. Ahern.
Jeremiah Joseph Ahern.
Joanne Marie Adiolis.
Shabir Ahmed.
Terrence Andre Aiken.
Godwin O. Ajala.
Trudy Alagero.
Andrew Alamino.
Margaret Ann Alario.
Gary M. Abero.
John Leslie Albert.
Peter Craig Alderman.
And my uncle, Charles William Garbarini.
My brother-in-law, Sal Edward Terry Jr. May you rest in peace. Your sister Faith still misses you to this date. You've been a guiding light and a hero always to this date. Thank you very much.
Jacqueline Delane Aldridge Frederick.
David D. Alger.
Ernest Ali Kakos.
Edward L. Allegretto.
Eric Allen.
Joseph Ryan Allen.
Richard Dennis Allen.
Richard L. Allen.
Christopher E. Allingham.
Anna S. W. Allison.
Janet Marie Alonso.
Anthony Alvarado.
Antonio Javier Alvarez.
Victoria Alvarez Brito.
Telmo E. Alvier.
Cesar Amaranto Alviar.
Tariq Amanula.
Angelo Amaranto.
James M. Amato.
Joseph Amatuccio.
Paul W. Ambrose.
Christopher Charles Amoroso.
Craig Scott Amundsen.
Kazuhiro Anai.
Calixto Anaya Jr.
Joseph P. Anchandia. Kermit Charles Anderson.
Yvette Constance Anderson.
John Jack Andriacchio.
Michael Rourke Andrews.
Jean Ann Andrucki.
Sue Nia Ang.
Joseph Angelini Sr.
Joseph John Angelini Jr.
David Lawrence Angel.
Mary Lynn Edwards Angel.
Laura Angeletta.
Doreen J. Angersani.
Lorraine Antigua.
Sama David Aoyama.
And my father, Kevin James Murphy. I love you very much, Dad, and I know you're looking down at me with a big, big smile on your face today. I love you.
And my uncle and my hero, New York City firefighter and United States Marine, Matthew David Garvey. We love and miss you, Uncle Matt.
Peter Paul Apollo.
Faustino Apostol Jr.
Frank Thomas Aquilino.
Patrick Michael Anyos.
David Gregory Arache.
Michael George Arjinsky.
Louis Arena.
Barbara Jean Arstegui.
Adam P. Arias.
Michael J. Armstrong.
Jack Charles Aaron.
Joshua Todd Aaron.
Richard Avery Arano.
Myra Joy Aronson.
Japhet Jesse Arie.
Carl Francis Asaro.
Michael A. Asiak.
Michael Edward Asher.
Janice Marie Ashley.
Thomas J. Ashton.
Manuel O. Asentimbe.
Greg A. Atlas.
Gerald Thomas Atwood.
James Otterfred.
Louis F. Aversano Jr.
Ezra Avidas.
Sandy Ayala.
Arlene T. Babiquitas.
Eustace R. Bacchus.
John J. Badagliaca.
Jane Ellen Basler.
Robert J. Bearwalter.
Andrew J. Bailey.
Brett T. Bailey.
Garnet Ace Bailey.
Tatiana Bakulinskaya.
Michael S. Bashk.
Sharon M. Malcolm.
Michael Andrew Bain.
Catherine Bantis.
And my brother, Joseph Michael Giacconi.
And
his family, his friends will never forget. I come here every year for 16 years to make sure I hear his name so that I can honor him and make sure that he will never be forgotten.
And my grandfather, Howard Selwyn.
Gerard Batiste.
Walter Barron.
Gerard A. Barbera.
Paul Vincent Barbaro.
James William Barbella.
Victor Daniel Barbosa.
Christine Joanna Barbuda.
Colleen Ann Barco.
David Michael Barclay.
Matthew Barnes.
Melissa Rose Barnes.
Sheila Patricia Barnes.
Evan J. Barone.
Renee Barrett Arjun.
Arthur Thaddeus Barry.
Diane G. Barry.
Maurice Vincent Barry.
Scott D. Bart.
Carlton W. Bartels.
Guy Barsby.
Ina B. Basina.
Alicia Christine Burton Bajmajan.
Kenneth William Basnicki.
Stephen Joseph Bates.
Paul James Battaglia.
W. David Bauer.
Ivan Louis Caprio Batusta.
Marlon Capito Bautista.
Mark Lawrence Bevis,
Jasper Baxter,
Lorraine B. G. Bay,
Michelle Beal,
Todd M. Beamer,
Paul Frederick Bettini,
Jane S. Beatty,
Alan Anthony Beaven,
Lawrence Ira Beck,
Minette Marie Beckles,
Carl John Bedigian,
Michael Ernest Beekman,
Kevin Joseph Smith,
and my brother, Kevin Patrick York. We will always remember your enduring devotion to family, your unyielding support for your network of friends, your compassion for others that led to your generosity, your animated debates fueled by new knowledge, your wit and humor that helped lighten any mood, and finally, your affection for America and your passion for history. Continue to guide us with your energetic spirit. May God bless you.
and my oldest son, Noel, who was in the second tower. I miss you every day. We all miss you, and thank you for your prayers to help us get by. Thank you.
Maria A. Bear, Max J. Bilge, Yelena Bililovsky, Nina Patrice Bell, Debbie S. Bellows, Stephen Elliott Belson, Paul M. Benedetti, Denise Lenore Benedetto, Brian Craig Bennett, Eric L. Bennett, Oliver Bennett, Margaret L. Benson, Dominic J. Berardi, James Patrick Berger, Stephen Howard Berger, John P. Bergen, Alvin Bergson, Daniel David Bergstein, Graham Andrew Berkeley, Michael J. Berkeley, Donna M. Bernards, David W. Bernard, William H. Bernstein, David M. Beret, David Shelby Berry, Joseph John Berry, William Reed Bethke, Yanene Petru, Timothy D. Betterly, Carolyn Mayer Bug, Edward Frank Bea, Paul Michael Bayer, Anil Taliram Bahavarni, Bella J. Buchan, Shimi D. Biegeleisen, Peter Alexander Bielfeld, William G. Biggert, Ryan Eugene.
We will never forget the day that changed America forever. 16 years ago today, the terrorist attack took nearly 3,000 souls when hijacked planes slammed into the Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. We are moments away from those bells tolling for the moment a second plane struck the South Tower of the World Trade Center. As we listen to family members, as they've done every year since, read the names of those who were lost one by one. Good morning. I'm Shannon Bream, live in America's Newsroom.
And I'm John Scott. There is little question that this day changed every single one of us. The numbers are still staggering all these years later. The thousands of lives lost. This is the first year that President Trump, a native New Yorker, observes today's ceremonies as president. But first, Bill Hemmer joins us from Orlando as Irma continues to batter the Sunshine State with devastating winds, tornadoes, and flooding. Bill.
Hey, John, Shannon, good morning to you. More than 3 million in Florida waking up today without power. It was 24 hours ago where this Category 4 storm came on shore in Key West. Now reduced 24 hours later to a tropical storm. It is still a big story and will be throughout the day, but it is also a moment where we pause and we reflect, a significant time for reflection for all of us across the country and frankly around the world today on this September 11th. It is that day yet again, 9/11. So we'll see you a bit later here this morning in Florida. John, Shannon, back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Bill. He's going to join us later for more extended coverage of the storm. But first, a moment of silence will be held any minute to mark the moment United Airlines Flight 175 was flown into the South Tower. President Trump and First Lady Melania will soon arrive at the Pentagon for the observance ceremony there, which the president is going to deliver remarks, we understand, there. Vice President Mike Pence will take part in ceremonies at the Flight 93 Memorial near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where one of the airliners crashed after passengers and crew fought back, trying to take control away from the terrorists who'd hijacked it, and were trying to head that plane, we believe, for the heart of Washington, D.C.
And as bad as that day was, Shannon, it continues to take its toll. Just about 10 days or so ago, the fire department of the city of New York added something like 32 names to the list of firefighters whose lives were claimed by the events of 9/11. Many of them were working the rescue effort on what they called the pile, breathing in noxious fumes and poisonous chemicals, which ultimately claimed their lives.
Yeah, we have a family friend who was an NYPD officer that day and still suffers and fights those health problems that he says he would never trade the time he was down there. It was important. Let's listen in now for the moment of silence.
I'm not so sure anymore. I'm thinking that here with your family is the best place. Like last year when your son Gregory graduated college, you should have been here in the best place, watching him get his diploma. And then a month later when your daughter Amanda got married, you should have been here in the best place, walking her down the aisle. And then just 6 months after that, when your other daughter Jessica got married, you should have been here in the best place, walking her down the aisle. Are you in a better place, Jeff? I really hope so, but again, I'm just not so sure anymore. I guess I'll know in 20 or 30 years, so save me a good seat, little brother. We love you. We miss you every day.
Richard Edward Bosco, and my father, Ronald Carl Fazio. Dad, your youngest granddaughter's here today. Reese, you're proudly named after your dad. He had a heart condition, and he loved his Reese's peanut butter cups, and that never stopped him. If he were here today, he would tell you to hold the door for others every chance that you get. Love, strength, and peace to everyone near and far. 143.
Klaus Bota.
Carol.
A somber day in this city, in this nation, as we remember the victims of the 9/11 attacks 16 years ago today. Eric Shawn is in Lower Manhattan, live near the memorial where these services are taking place. Eric?
Good morning, John. It has been 16 years, but it is as if not one day has gone by. We are again looking at the gathering of the loved ones, the officials, family members, relatives, and friends who, in a very personal way, are remembering those who were lost on this day 16 years ago. As you said, it is a very somber, solemn, and emotional ceremony, still filled with the pain of all that was lost. The names are being read of the 2,753 people who died. We've heard the very personal tributes from the sons and the daughters and the brothers to those who were killed in the World Trade Center towers. There will be, as always, 4 moments of silence. We've already had 2. Tomorrow, when both planes hit Tower 1 and Tower 2, as well as later this morning when both towers fell. Let's take a moment to observe the first moment of silence that happened a few moments ago at 8:46 this morning.
La República Dominicana.
It is a very real remembrance of what happened here, as well as the continuing threat of radical Islamic terrorism that attacked our nation and brought these towers down, striking at the very heart of the American spirit. Earlier this morning, we interviewed the New York City Police Commissioner James O'Neill, who says, yes, the city is safer because of the precautions that have been taken because of this day. And what happened is a reminder to us every day.
It just brings you right back to September 11, 2001. Just you know how it changed the world. It changed the city, it changed the nation, but it changed the world. And today's important for a number of reasons. It's important for everybody to remember. It's also a reminder for us that we have to continue to be vigilant.
And with the attacks that we've seen around the world and the attempts, 22 terrorist attempts and plots that have been broken up here in New York City since 2001, it is a reminder not only of what we'd lost on this day 16 years ago, but also of the threat that still exists. John?
And sad to say, Eric, many of the families of victims of this attack have still not really had the satisfaction of a burial. They are still identifying the remains of the victims.
That's true. An astounding 40% still have not been identified, but that effort to identify them has continued. In fact, just last month, the latest victim, a male who, because of his family privacy, decided not to be named publicly, he was identified. We went to the medical examiner's office here in New York City, which is continuing new DNA analysis of these remains that they find. We talked with Dr. Mark Desire, who is the assistant director in charge of the office, who described the DNA work that is so important and continues on a very special mission.
As a forensic scientist, you're trained to be impartial and unbiased, not become emotionally or personally involved. With World Trade Center, I actually bring the scientists that work on the remains to meet the families and to show the scientists that the families